Hello everyone, welcome to a new Sims video. I'm going to be building a kind of modern inspired home. That's to say, I looked at some exteriors and floor plans of modern homes to get inspired for this video, but it's not strictly following any kind of rules about modern design or mid-century design. It's just going to be a house. I also feel like The Sims 1 as a game has its own aesthetic, which I think is kind of more fun to play around with than being too strict about an aesthetic. So it's not going to be super sleek, super modern, whatever that means. So I was initially kind of sketching out a floor plan for both floors of the house, which is a square for the most part, with like a few bump outs. I kind of briefly thought about doing balconies. You'll see I ended up putting a balcony at the front left of the house, but I wanted to maybe have a balcony all across the front, but I did decide against that because I put these pillars and I didn't really like where they were positioned. I started off with a lot of large plate glass windows because I thought that kind of evoked a modern feel, letting in a lot of light, although towards the end I actually changed most of the windows to smaller ones because I just felt like the large ones left the interior a bit exposed, if that makes sense. I always find it hard knowing where to place windows in relation to the length of a wall and how much of that wall is within a given room, so sometimes maybe the window placements aren't completely realistic. But I feel it's fine anyway. So after the windows, I had to decide on flooring. I initially just put down some plain white planks, like grey planks, just what I was thinking about, what I wanted to do. I feel like there aren't tons of sleek modern wood floors or imitation wood floors that might be suitable for a modern house nowadays. The wood floors look a little bit more classic and traditional, which actually I think is fine. So downstairs I used a kind of square parquet flooring in the main living area. I'm not sure if that's exactly what it's called. I just mostly like the color because it's not too light or too dark and severe. Then for the entryway and downstairs toilet, I used a grey tile flooring, which has kind of several mismatched size tiles. I quite like it because it doesn't look too rigid or repetitive. I initially used the same flooring in the kitchen area too, but I decided I wanted it to be slightly different, so I used a more uniform kind of grey tile. Then I also just put a grey concrete in the room on the right, which is going to be the garage. Then upstairs I used a more kind of orangey wood in all the rooms except the bathrooms, which have the same tile as the downstairs toilet. Then for wall coverings, I used mostly white or beige, pretty much everywhere. More like beige downstairs and a brighter white upstairs, with a tile splashback on 2 walls of the kitchen. I think initially I had on 3 walls of the kitchen, then I went back and changed one of them. Then I started actually furnishing the downstairs. This was quite a long process because I actually ended up extending the house because I felt there wasn't enough space, so there was a lot of doing and redoing. For the kitchen, I initially went for white tiled counters that would match the floor, the tile on the floor and walls, but I felt it was just too many squares everywhere. So I went for the other countertop that I believe also comes with Superstar. It's like a bit more sleek and has kind of a light box glowing inside it. It's maybe a bit dramatic for a kitchen, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The kitchen is otherwise quite minimal and clutter-free. For the living area, I wanted to have the wall-mounted TV with a coffee table that matches the color of the wood flooring. Then a white couch with contrasting black chairs. I feel like I always use these black chairs and this white couch, but they're probably the nicest kind of plain living room furniture that there is in The Sims 1. I had a bit of an issue here trying to fit all of the furniture in because I felt it would kind of make sense to have the dining area in that spot where I initially placed the living area, because then it would be right next to the kitchen for convenience. But at the same time, I wanted the mounted TV in the middle of that particular section of wall, which is 4 tiles long. I feel like I'm often thinking about where I want to center things, because you can't place things on half tiles or anything like that in The Sims 1. But yeah, so when I tried to place a dining table and chairs in the space next to the living area, I just felt there wasn't enough room. Like, the whole thing felt too cramped. Even when I tried various configurations of the dining table, I could have gone for a smaller table, but I also kind of felt like this is a family house, and for the size of the house, it makes sense to have a bigger table. I did try to shift the living area into where the dining area was, but it just didn't work. There still wasn't enough space, and I don't like things to be too cramped, particularly in The Sims 1, just to make it easy for the Sims to get around easily in the house. So I decided I had to expand the house by 1 tile at the back and on the left side, which would basically just create the space I needed for that little section. This worked a lot better because it meant there was space to walk all the way around the dining table from every side, and there was still a gap between the dining area and the living area. So that felt maybe a little bit more realistic as well, rather than feeling like all of your furniture is kind of on top of each other. I placed some blue carpet under the table, just pretending that it's a real rug. Then I changed it to red, I think, and then to green. After that, I didn't want to repeat the same rug that I used in the living area, and I didn't really feel like any of the other actual rugs that are in the game. So because I extended the house, I also had to go back and repaint the outside and check that the inside wall coverings were all matching where they were supposed to be. Then what else was I going to say? I was going to talk about, oh yeah, the garage. I want to talk about the garage. I had kind of more issues like with the garage in a similar kind of way to the living area and the dining area, because I felt like, it's so weird, I felt like it looked big enough when I built it initially, and before I tried placing windows in the, like on the front of the garage to create the look of a garage door. But because of the length of that piece of wall, it's like 4 tiles long initially, I couldn't center 3 windows, and I didn't want to put 4 windows because it looked too many, and I didn't want to put 2 windows because that didn't look wide enough to even be a door that could open and have a car go inside. So I don't know, I like messed around with this for ages, like trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then eventually I was like, yeah, I need to just make the garage like 1 tile wider, because I'd also tried to put pillars either side of the garage door, but that just looked really weird. So I extended the house by 1 tile on the right hand side all the way down to the back to where the kitchen is, and also by 1 tile at the front, including the entryway. So it made the entryway kind of bigger, yeah, and it removed part of that kind of area that would almost be the porch. So I also had to go back and do the wall covering again for the outside, and the floor covering for the garage, and also the back of the kitchen, which got extended too, of course. And then it was around this point that I realized I didn't like the plate glass windows everywhere, because I use a lot of those really tall big plate glass windows. So I went around the house and changed most of them to smaller ones. It makes the house feel a little bit more private, I think. Maybe a little bit less modern, I don't know. I did keep some of the bigger windows in some of the like living areas, so you can kind of like look out when you're at the dining table and also in the living area. So then, now that I actually had the size of the house correct and I wasn't going to change the exterior walls anymore, I was able to go upstairs and start furnishing there. I put the modern mission bed and matching furniture in the main bedroom with a black armchair like the one in the living room and a bookcase and another make-believe rug. I wanted to kind of keep the fake, sleek, modern, but not really sleek, modern vibe. And I wanted to do the same for the ensuite bathroom so that it would match. But then with the kids' bedroom, it's a bit more fun and colourful with the matching red, blue and yellow beds and the end tables and the chest of drawers that all go together in the nice set. And then I also added a big teddy bear and a lava lamp, as well as a doll's house and an animal poster and a cuckoo clock. I wanted the back room to be kind of a hobby / entertainment room, although also kind of have the option to turn that into another bedroom if you decided to have more children or maybe even other family members coming to live at the house. But yeah, initially I was like, let's have it as a kind of entertainment room, music room. So I put a keyboard and just a nice long couch against the back wall and a fish tank and then an electric guitar. And in the name of skill building and kind of other hobby objects, I put a workout bench on the landing, which I don't know, maybe that's a bit weird, but the landing ended up being bigger than I had planned for it to be because of the garage extension and extending the front bit of the house. So I kind of wanted to use that space for something. So yeah, I put a workout bench and the swing bookshelf and also the plushy mushy chair, which I've grown to like recently. Then the upstairs bathroom is like split into two spaces. So you've got kind of the toilet sink space and then a separate bathing space. So there's a space for a full-size square bathtub and a shower as well, which is ideal because they both have like a very high hygiene score. I'm not sure if it's like hygiene 10 or maybe 9. I think the shower has hygiene 10 and maybe the bathtub has hygiene 9. But either way, you can choose which one you want to use depending on how much time your sim has, because I feel like the bath takes longer. Then for like the landscaping and the outside of the house, I added a back door leading out from the main living area and drew out a little concrete patio with a children's climbing frame and a small seating area. So if you're just having like a quick breakfast or something, you could go and sit and eat out there rather than in the dining area, because it's probably closer to the kitchen slightly, even though it is outside. And just added a few flowers and shrubs, and I did the same at the front of the house with a couple of plants and a little picket fence leading up to the door. I decorated the rest of the lawn with a few trees and placed a pond on the left side of the house, and I put that like red autumnal kind of tree next to the pond. I don't know, I really like that tree. It always reminds me of some of the downtown lots, like the downtown community lots. I think because that tree came with the Hot Date expansion, I think that would make sense anyway. But yeah, then I was kind of like, I think I'm pretty much done, but I went back and added lights because I often don't remember to do this for some reason. I think because when there are plenty of windows, the house looks nice and well lit in the daytime, so I forget that at nighttime it's going to be dark and there's no like day-night toggle mode in build mode. So I was like, I need to go around the whole house and add some lights, and also a few other little things I tend to forget, like a burglar alarm, a phone. I don't think I'd put a phone in, or maybe a smoke alarm. So I think that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this speed build video. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!